about to go down.
Burning your ears with another all-killer and no-filler episode of the best motorsports radio on the planet. It's the Down and Dirty Radio Show, powered by Polaris RZR. With your host, Jim Beaver.
Sliding trophy trucks, jumping razors, and dropping the mic at events across the country.
Amy Hood.
What's up, guys? I'm a professional fun haver, dirt bike rider, and monster truck driver.
With support from Polaris RZR, General Tire, Subaru, and Dirtfish. Hang on tight, strap in, and get ready to smoke some tires and lay some roost. Here's the man who carries a steering wheel in one hand and a mic in the other. Jim Beaver.
Good morning. Hopefully yours is going as good as mine is. Mine is rock solid today. Welcome to the Down and Dirty Radio Show, powered by Polaris RZR, your favorite motorsports radio show. If you're tuning in, hopefully it's your favorite. If not, I don't know what to tell you, but you're here. That's all that matters. Anyways, great show lined up today. This is one of our weird weeks. You know, we started out as an off-road radio show. Now we cover everything badass, right? That's pretty much our thing. Personality-driven, and we've got personalities today. A couple of NHRA champions. Caught up with my boy Stevie Torrance last week. Well, this week we're catching up with JR Todd, who is your funny car world champ, and then Pro Stock Bike. It was Matt Smith. Yep, you guessed it. Both of them going to be on air today. Also got my good friend and I guess my media manager who handles the website, Chris Leone. He's going to be calling in. We got a lot to talk about with Mr. Chris for a couple of segments. You know, what I was getting to is this is like one of those weird weeks. I'm an off-road guy, but I'm sitting here in the studio today. Meanwhile, every single one of my friends is in Mexico at the Baja 1000 pre-running, which means it's hard to get a guest on air because everybody's in Baja, right? So you're going to have to live vicariously through me, and I'm going to live vicariously through my friends. I've been getting text updates and stuff like that. Can't get one of them to actually want to call in today because they're too busy eating tacos and having beer down there. But we are going to talk some Baja, and we will definitely have some race winners on next week. But this week, it's all talk of Baja, but we're going to preview the race. We're going to talk about all this crazy Fernando Alonso news, Ken Block news, obviously NHRA, tons of off-road, some UTV stuff sprinkled in. It's going to be a slam-packed show. Anyways, thank you guys for joining me. We are going to take a short break, and when we get back, we're going to kick things off here on another edition here of the Down and Dirty Radio Show, powered by Polaris RZR. Extreme performance, reliability, and the most fun you can have on four wheels? The Polaris RZR brings it to you. But you don't need to take my word for it. You can take theirs.
I'm Tanner Faust, and I choose the Polaris RZR because it's the most fun you can have with a steering wheel.
What's up? I'm Ronnie Renner, and I choose Polaris RZR because it's the sickest, most reliable side-by-side on the planet.
What's up, everybody? Heavy D from Diesel Brothers. Listen, I'm on Team RZR because it's hands down the best piece of machinery on the planet.
I'm RJ Anderson, and I choose Polaris RZR because it's the most fun, most capable machine.
Action sports stars, TV personalities, and some of the best race car drivers in the world all choose Polaris RZR because it's the ultimate combination of power, suspension, agility, and fun. Find out more information on the web at PolarisRZR.com or follow at Polaris RZR on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, and use the hashtag RZRLife to share your story. For 100 years, General Tire has provided tires for your lifestyle, your adventure, your anywhere. Born from competition, the Grabber tire offers the durability and off-road traction you demand in a tire. We put these tires to the test in the harshest off-road racing conditions to give you a tire that will make your anywhere possible. So let us take you on your next big adventure. Tweet us photos at General Tire, hashtag anywhere is possible. Because with General Tire, anywhere is possible.
The Subaru WRX and WRX STI, a 268-horsepower turbocharged Subaru Boxer engine, rockets the WRX around corners and down straightaways. A race-ready 305-horsepower turbocharged Subaru Boxer engine keeps the WRX STI a rally legend. The Subaru WRX and WRX STI, it's not a sibling rivalry, it's a tag team. Get the latest from Subaru Rally Team USA at Subaru.com/rally.
Looking to have some fun on four wheels? Dirtfish Rally School has you covered. Packing as much adrenaline and adventure as you can handle into high-performance all-wheel drive and rear-wheel drive Subaru rally cars is where the fun begins at Dirtfish. Just 30 minutes outside of Seattle in Snoqualmie, you'll get a chance to train up to 3 full days with some of the country's best instructors and be put through the high-octane rush of rally on mud, dirt, and tarmac. Get started today and call 425-888-7715 or visit us online at dirtfish.com and use code 911 for a 15% discount. When looking for a new wheel for your off-road vehicle, car, truck, or UTV, the choice is easy. You choose what the pros use. Rob McCachran, Keegan Kincaid, and myself, Jim Beaver, all exclusively use Vision Wheel, whether we're dominating Baja, taking the cup at Crandon, or shredding UTVs. Vision Wheel's trend-setting designs and durability will set you apart from the competition and your friends. Check out visionwheel.com or at Vision Wheel on social media to learn more.
Like what you hear? Catch all the back episodes of the Down and Dirty Radio Show on Apple Podcast, and be sure to rate, review, and subscribe.
All right. We are back here on the Down and Dirty Radio Show, powered by Polaris Razor. Thank you once again for joining us, and it's going to be a fun show. Like I said, it's a weird week. Last week, man, slammed. Literally a slam show. McCachran, my boy Alexander Rossi, also my boy Stevie Torrance, man, 3 of my good friends, but good stuff. Going back, man, we had the SEMA episode the week before that was on site at SEMA with Tiffany Stone and I. Had Rob, Matt, Keegan Kincaid, and Sam Rady from Car Throttle. If you missed that was not a PG-13 show. That one was borderline rated R, but we had a good time. That one never made national syndication, so FCC would have strangled us with that one. But yes, had some good shows. Obviously, we'll have some a lot of off-road winners. I've been having a ton of requests, right, for guys around Baja, and they're just off the grid down there. You can't get them. They're pre-running, things like that. So I promise I will make it up to you guys next week. That being said, man, we got a lot to talk about. I mean, I got a busy week. I'm not going to Baja. I'm actually going to Beverly Hills. I'll be on Spike Ferriston's show, Natalie Ava Marie's show at Podcast One, doing those on Thursday. So that'll be a ton of fun. But there's been a lot here happening. We're making some big changes to the radio show starting January 1 next year. A little bit in formatting and some of that stuff. Anyways, I always get requests from you guys, always wondering, a lot of things. And I actually had a really rad, you guys give me a ton of feedback on the show, things you want me to talk about. I actually had a really rad question somebody asked me recently about crashing in race cars and what's it like to crash. So I thought, man, I ought to talk about that today because I can weigh in on that. I might be a bit of an expert on crashing race cars. So, maybe we'll talk about that at some point today as well. Maybe this first segment. We'll see. But, so we're going to make some changes to the show. Maybe online, some options for commercial free, changing the content, talking about doing some YouTube stuff, some Facebook Live stuff with the show. There's an opportunity to do a second show, change up the guests, have celebrity guest hosts. So you guys, if you're not already, and this isn't me trying to get you to join my group on Facebook, we've got like 1,100 people that I think are part of the group. It's a radio show group where they give me feedback, and we post, just talk racing and cars and whatever, man. It's actually a rad group. Literally anything goes type of thing. As long as it's not politics. We don't get into that in the group. No, there's plenty of that. You're bombarded with that daily, so you don't need any of that crap. So anyways, I put it out there. It's a poll, but there's a lot of people chiming in. I put it up yesterday. If you haven't already, please go to my Facebook group. It's Jim Beaver, at Jim Beaver 15 is my Facebook page, but it's Jim Beaver's Action Motorsports Discussion, I think is the formal name of the group. But I want your feedback. I want your feedback on the show, and what... if you love things the way it is, like, seriously, don't chime in. But if there's anything, literally, don't hit me below the belt, but I can handle it if you do. But if there's something you would like to hear or see or something you would like more of, like, seriously, let me know. Now's the time, because I'm telling you, a lot of you have said, I want you to do this, I want you to do that. I need you to tell me now. Now is the time to tell me, because we are making changes at the start of next year to the format and things like that. So it's happening. So if you have some ideas you think you would like in this show changed, like, now is the time to speak up and tell me. Don't tell me next March, oh, dude, I hate this or I hate that. Because, man, you know, it's funny. Like, I get some people, they usually tell me in person, I love the show, I love the show. Online, nobody ever says they love the show. You know what they say? They say, I hate the show, you do this wrong. You know, I'm like, well, at least I know you're listening, because you listen enough to tell me you hate it. But, like, seriously, you know, chime in if you like it. Like I said, let me know in the discussion. But in that discussion, in that group, that's the place to tell it. There's a lot of great ideas popping in. But I'd love to hear from you guys. So I'm not going to beat that up too bad. It's the opening of the show, so you know, but need some help. Need your guys' help. Let me know. Also, so interesting thing here. A lot of you know, some of you may not know where Parker, Arizona is. That's where the studio's at. That's where I do my show, and then it kind of gets shotgunned all across the country and internationally from here. So I have my studio here. We do mostly phone-ins. Once in a while, I don't know, Parker actually has a lot of, you know, we got a couple major off-road races here and things like that. But I don't know, once in a while we have people in studio. Not too often, but it does happen from time to time. I've got my studio here in Parker, and then I do a lot of traveling, and just, you know, it's a great home base. Lots of, you know, I can off-road here, you know, in the wintertime and on the weekends, drive racers around town. River's there, so, you know, I can wakeboard. You know, it's hotter than hell in the summertime, but that's why you have the river. Anyways, all that being said, we had a car chase in town, small town car chase earlier this week, and it was, I don't know, it was crazy. I guess through town, it was at night, like 10:30, 11 o'clock at night. Guy was running from the police. Anyways, he literally went through a building, and it was a pawn shop. Went through the front of the pawn shop, through the side of the pawn shop, like he hit it at an angle, and then he went through like those two walls, and then drove. It's in like kind of like a strip mall, and then drove through a third building into a church and destroyed the church. So he took out a pawn shop, took out a church. The church is fixable and nothing. I mean, there's major damage, but like nothing like, I guess as far as like stuff. But the other one was a pawn shop, man. Took out like their memorabilia, their gold, their sports memorabilia. Like, it was bad news, right? And I feel bad for the owners, you know, because insurance is already monkeying them around. So, insurance, gosh, don't even get me started on them. But yeah, so this guy, you know, they arrest him, whatever. I mean, hopefully they lock him up for a long, long time. I guess he was hiring a kite, you know, from what I understand, and, you know, running from the cops because he didn't want to get in trouble for being stoned while driving or whatever. Anyways. So you start chiming in, or you start reading on social media, and this just blows my mind with social media, right? Like, there's these people saying that it was the police officer's fault for chasing this dude, and that the police officers ought to pay for. They ought to be the ones to pay the damages, and they ought to be the ones to pay for the pawn shop, like their loss of memorabilia and stuff like that. Because if they weren't pursuing the guy, he would have never crashed. And I'm like, what planet are you people from? Like, the guy was going 90 miles an hour in a 35 zone. He's hiring a kite. And he's running from the police. Like, seriously, it's the police's fault for chasing this guy? No. It doesn't work that way. But anyways, like, sometimes I just, and that's big news in a small town, right? This whole car chase thing. But sometimes I just shake my head and I'm like, man, people on the internet are crazy. And this has nothing to do with motorsports. It's a car chase. I guess we got cars involved, but I don't know. It kind of blew my mind. It absolutely just kind of blew my mind. It was wow. Like, wow. Man, you guys are definitely on another planet. Anyways, I guess maybe we will talk about. I'm all over the grid today. I apologize. And I could have started this show today by talking WWE wrestling, because Kelly Crandall, who coincidentally has her podcast on our network now. If you're not listening to the Racing Riders podcast, you need to. If you're a NASCAR fan, boom, that's where you're going to get your NASCAR content. It's not going to be on this show, although I may talk a bit about it with Chris Leone today. But Kelly Crandall, Racing Writers Podcast. It's on the network. It's on our website. It's on our RSS feed. So if you want that show or you want NASCAR content, boom, get it there. Sheldon Creed was one of our recent guests, and if you're an off-road fan, you know Sheldon Creed. Amazing interview she did with Sheldon, better than 10 times better than any of the interviews I've done with Sheldon. So tip of the cap to Kelly Crandall on that one. But yeah, anyways, her and I started the morning, right, and we were texting about racing and her podcast, and then it steamrolls into WWE and Becky Lynch and all this other stuff. And you guys know I'm a pro wrestling fan. She's a pro wrestling fan. And I'm like, man, this went downhill. So I spent like good 45 minutes of my morning talking WWE with Kelly Crandall, who writes for Racer Magazine, right? Why are two motorsports people talking wrestling? I don't know, but that's what my morning was. And I could have started the show out today talking pro wrestling. So I think you guys are fortunate that I started out talking about a police car chase. I don't know. But all I know is we've run through this opening segment today. I have talked pretty much zero motorsports, and you guys are hoping at some point that we do talk racing today. And I'm going to tell you, that is going to happen because Chris Leone doesn't like pro wrestling, and he is going to call in after the break. So I can promise you that car chases are over, pro wrestling is over. We're back to business when we return from the break here to kick off whatever this show has become called the Down and Dirty Radio Show powered by Polaris Razor. So hang tight. It is going to definitely be a fun day today. My promise. I'm Polaris rider Jim Beaver. I race trophy trucks professionally, host a Down and Dirty radio show, and also travel the country announcing motorsports events. I've seen it all, and trust me, I've done most of it. So when it comes time to relax on the weekend, nothing is better than taking time with my family in our Razor vehicles. They've got the reliability I need to just pick up and go explore the desert, dunes, or trail, and have the capability to attack even the harshest terrain. If you're looking for some of the most reliable and safest, and hands down most capable off-road machines in the world, look no further than Polaris and their award-winning lineup of Razor vehicles. Whether you want your daughter to experience off-road driving for the first time in a Razor 170 like me, take the entire family out in a Razor XP4 1000 on the weekend, or shred the desert and dunes in the all-new Razor XP 1000 Fox Edition, Polaris has you handled. Take my advice and join me and some of the best drivers in the world by driving a Polaris Razor. Check out the full Polaris Razor lineup at Polaris.com or follow them on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Polaris Razor. Are you looking for a place to push yourself behind the wheel and see how your driving skills stack up? Dirtfish Rally School is that place. Located on 315 acres of pristine automotive playground at the foot of the Cascade Mountains in Snoqualmie, Washington, right outside of Seattle, Dirtfish Rally School is a one-of-a-kind place where everyone from first-time drivers to seasoned professionals like Bucky Lassick and Antoine Lestage can push themselves to their limit. Whether driving the high-performance, rally-prepped all-wheel drive Subaru Impreza STI is what you're looking for, or you'd rather hang it all out in the rear-wheel drive Subaru BRZs, Dirtfish Rally School has something for everyone. Classes are available from 2 hours to 3 full days and feature instructors with over 150 years of combined racing experience. Whether you're looking to become the best and get an edge on the competition, or just looking to freshen your skills behind the wheel, Dirtfish Rally School is the place to go. For more information on registering for classes, visit Dirtfish on the web at dirtfish.com, or to check out the latest happenings from Dirtfish, follow them on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Dirtfish Rally. Whether you're looking for a tire that balances high performance responsiveness and traction in wet and light snow conditions, excellent handling and traction in wet and dry conditions, or a summer performance tire designed with the driving enthusiast in mind, General Tire has you covered. From the all-new G-Max RS to the Grabber ATX, no matter what you drive, General Tire will get you where you're going. Learn more at GeneralTire.com. General Tire, cruising with the Down and Dirty Radio Show since 2012. Hey, this is Jim Beaver, host of the Down and Dirty Radio Show. Getting down and dirty on the racetrack is all fun and games until it's time to get the dirt off. I know it all too well, which is why I partnered with MotoShield Pro, the leaders in nanotechnology solutions on the racetrack and in off-road to combat mud and dirt buildup on my vehicles. MotoShield Pro keeps us from taking unnecessary damage and spending extra energy on cleaning. No matter the weather or the surface, having proper protection on all my vehicles saves me plenty of reprep time in a sport where every second counts. Prep your vehicle like a pro. Learn more at MotoShieldPro.com.
Like what you hear? Catch all the back episodes of the Down and Dirty Radio Show on Apple Podcast, and be sure to rate, review, and subscribe.
All right, welcome back here. Getting down to business on the Down and Dirty Radio Show powered by Polaris Racer. No more shenanigans. We're actually going to get something accomplished today, which is Actually, it's a miracle for the show for that to actually happen. But I promise we do have a couple of great guests in J.R. Todd and Matt Smith. Chris Leone coming up here in a minute. Before I get to that, got to tell you about one of our amazing partners. And I got to tell you, one thing I've always prided myself in, whether it be radio, race cars, whatever, I don't take crummy partners. And the only way that I am going to endorse something is if I actually use it. That is right. My good friends at Go Parts are definitely one of those. And if you're driving to town, you're going to your local auto parts store, you're paying way too much money. I've started using GoParts.com. I'm saving a ton of money on parts, and believe me, go through a lot of parts. Heck, I just bought a Mini Cooper on the fly for like $1,500. This thing needs some help, and what do? Well, I go to GoParts.com, right? They're getting that thing dialed in for me. It is a turbo with a stick shift. I'm going to do some autocrossing in it. Anyways, I know what you're thinking. Jim, they're online. How's the customer service? I had the same concerns until I used them, and believe me, I tell you, their service is second to none. 9 out of 10 customers polled said they will not only use Go Parts again, they'd also recommend Go Parts to their friends and family. Look, they've been around for more than a decade. And you know what? In the internet world, that is a long time. They know what they're doing. Go Parts. This is why we wrench. That's GoParts.com, go-parts.com, and use the code Jim Beaver. It's go-parts.com/Jim Beaver. Got to get that /Jim Beaver in there. Go-parts.com/Jim Beaver, and you are going to get a rock solid deal there. But we are going to get down to business. And speaking of getting to business, here's my boy Chris Leone on the line. How is everything going, Chris?
I'm doing well, Jim, but I got to correct you on something real quick. I don't dislike pro wrestling. I just don't know what I'm talking about with it.
Okay. Well, I'm telling you, Kelly Crandall and I can get you dialed in. If you want to go down that rabbit hole with us, buddy, we would love to have you down that rabbit hole. I'm telling you, though, it's kind of like being an auto racing fan. Once you go down the pro wrestling rabbit hole, dude, you can't get out. You're just stuck.
I just I'll just give you a vignette as to how clueless I am. I had a couple buddies over, within past few months, and we were playing one of the old SmackDown games for the first PlayStation, and we were none of them had watched it in such a long time. We go into a cage match, and this would have been the ultimate match, like the most impressive match in WWE history, because it went on for half an hour, because none of us realized that to win the match, you had to get out of the cage. None of us had any idea. We just kept going for half an hour until finally somebody realized, oh, you don't tap out on this, you have to get out of the cage. And then it was just a race up the cage to finally put us all out of our mercy, or out of our misery.
Dude,
it was, we were clueless.
Yeah, well, we've got to, next time you're in Arizona, dude, I hope there's like a pay-per-view. I'm going to make you sit down and watch like a 3-hour pay-per-view. Gosh.
Boy. Here we go.
Yeah, you're going down this rabbit hole, man. Anyways, I promised the audience would actually, we are 22 minutes into this show, and I haven't talked a liquor racing yet. We have to change that, Chris. You are the savior today. You are the savior. You are going to get us back on track. But speaking of that, I guess we should shift gears, and this is a more serious note. We got to talk about David Pearson. He passed away, NASCAR legend. I know you know a lot more about Pearson than I do, but I mean, this is one of those guys. I mean, he's up there on a pedestal for NASCAR fans, right?
Oh, absolutely. And there are plenty of people who are still disappointed that he was not in the inaugural NASCAR Hall of Fame class, because the Silver Fox absolutely deserved it. 105 wins at the Cup level, second only Richard Petty. Richard Petty always called David Pearson his toughest competition, and Pearson was one of those guys in that earlier era of NASCAR who just kind of ran the races that he wanted to run. Richard Petty was really the odd man out in a lot of ways in the early days of NASCAR, because they were really the first team, Petty Enterprises, to realize what you could do by running a full schedule. Otherwise, it was kind of like golf in the sense that you'd go out and you'd show up to the money races, So you'd go do the Daytona 500, you'd go do the Southern 500, you'd go do events like that. But if it was just a little, short track race at a fairgrounds that was maybe only 100 laps and, only paid a couple $1,000, maybe you'd save the car and not do that. But the handful of seasons that Pearson showed up to every single race, he usually would win the championship, or he'd come real close to it. There are people who say pound for pound, he was the greatest NASCAR driver ever, and it was mostly the fact that he didn't run full schedules that kept him from being the guy to win 7 championships the way Petty did, and others have done so later. An absolutely legendary driver, drove for some of the best folks in the sport, was winning races well into the 80s, the same way that Richard Petty was. His last victory was it's now the Xfinity level, but it was the Busch Series at the time, and it was the only time Pearson and Dale Earnhardt ever finished 1-2 in a race. But most of the races where Petty and Pearson finished 1-2, it was actually David Pearson who took the victory. So he was one of the most special drivers in the early era of NASCAR, and I know that the trailers are probably already headed down to Homestead, Miami, but I sure hope the Wood brothers rewrap that 21 car in a David Pearson tribute scheme. I don't know who's on the car this week, but I know if anybody would understand needing to do something like that, it would be John Menard, who I think who with his son Paul and, with their involvement with that team, I think they'd get that, and I think they could do something really cool. So, I've always been a retro scheme guy anyway. I love every Southern 500 when they look back in the history of Petty Enterprises and the Wood brothers and run some of those old 43 and 21 schemes, and I hope we get that this weekend as well. I think that'd be a fitting tribute to one of the best drivers, if not the best driver in NASCAR history, in David Pearson.
Yeah, well, and talking about that, I'm sure that there's going to be some kind of vignette, like a video vignette they play or something like that. Because I think he's one of those guys, like you said, he was up there with Petty. He's one. I don't want to say one of the greats. He is, as far as I'm concerned, there's a handful of guys that you put there as the greatest of all time. Pearson is one of those guys. But I feel like, it's one of those things where in motorsports, like you said, he wasn't running a full schedule. He's still over 100 wins at NASCAR at the Cup level. That's insane. But I feel like Petty, with his 7 championships and his 200 wins, like, people always talk about Petty, and I don't want to say Pearson's been forgotten about, because he hasn't. And anybody who knows, and fans know David Pearson, but I feel like, he was just never quite talked about as much as Petty, you know what I mean? But what I guess I'm saying is I want our audience to know, like, this was, one of the greatest of all time, you know what I mean? And so that's why it's such a big deal that he passed.
Oh, I agree. And, he drove for a lot of the biggest teams in the sport. I mean, obviously the Wood brothers were one of the top teams, but he drove for Cotton Owens way back when. He drove for Holman Moody. He drove for Haas Ellington after he left the Wood brothers. I believe he actually drove the same car that Dale Earnhardt did for Rod Osterlund briefly as well. He was the kind of guy that if you could get David Pearson and you could put him in the car, you would put him in the car. No ifs, ands, or buts, no rethinking it. I mean, I remember when Neil Bonnet got injured in the late 1980s, Pearson had been out of the car for a few years, but Bonnet being hurt driving for the Wood brothers, they had actually talked about giving Pearson the opportunity to get back in that car, but he just physically, unfortunately, was not up to being able to make the return, so they had to put somebody else in. But, it just goes to show just how well respected and, beloved David Pearson was, as a driver. He was one of those guys that, could go out and win on any given Sunday, no matter what you gave him. Just an incredibly talented racer, Daytona 500 winner, NASCAR champion. One of those guys that when you look back and get nostalgic for the greats of the sport, somebody whose name absolutely has to be in there, especially for NASCAR. And, if his name isn't in there for you, then you just don't know enough about the sport yet.
Yeah, well, and I just started thinking as we're talking, running through my mind, and I know we only got like 2 minutes left, but I was like, man, I talk about my top 5 of all time. You got Petty, you've got Pearson, you've got Dale Earnhardt Sr., I've got Jeff Gordon in there, and maybe Jimmy Johnson now sneaking into that top 5 of all time if you just look at wins and championships. But Pearson is in that group. I don't know who your top 5 is, which we've got 90 seconds. If you can roll, if you can get us in there in 90 seconds, I would love to hear your top 5. But Pearson is definitely in my top 5.
I agree with you for the most part. I am also going to say the most controversial NASCAR thing that I can say, which is absolutely Kyle Busch, because you know what? Those Xfinity and truck wins that he's got were up against some far more challenging competition than some of the stuff in the early days, the 50s and 60s in NASCAR. They're much more closely matched. Race lengths were similar. You know, it's always hard to go apples to oranges to different eras, but all the people who say, oh, Kyle's only got whatever cup wins and you can't count the Xfinity and trucks. No. Those fields are a lot deeper than, you know, if you're racing 20 cars, you know, 100 laps in a fairgrounds and only 6 of them finish. I'm sorry, but, you know, I hate to hold on, you know, I hate to go into a hard out with something controversial like that and not get into defending it, but nobody is ever going to change my mind on that.
No, I agree with you, you know, and when I made that list, I mean, there's some guys that I was fans of that aren't on the list that I didn't name, like Bill Elliott, who, you know, but I just don't put him in the greatest of all times. I put him as one of the greats, but not the greatest of all time conversation, you know? So, I don't know. I like your list, and I agree with you on Busch. I don't like the guy, but I respect the guy, and I respect his numbers. So, yeah, we are going to take a short break, and when we come back, we do have more with Chris on the line here. We're going to be talking Alonso, Scott Speed, and a whole lot more here on the Down and Dirty Radio Show, powered by Polaris Razor. I'm Polaris rider Jim Beaver. I race trophy trucks professionally, host a Down and Dirty radio show, and also travel the country announcing motorsports events. I've seen it all, and trust me, I've done most of it, so when it comes time to relax on the weekend, nothing is better than taking time with my family in our Razor vehicles. They've got the reliability I need to just pick up and go explore the desert, dunes, or trail, and have the capability to attack even the harshest terrain. If you're looking for some of the most reliable and safest, and hands down most capable off-road machines in the world, look no further than Polaris and their award-winning lineup of Razor vehicles. Whether you want your daughter to experience off-road driving for the first time in a Razor 170 like me, take the entire family out in a Razor XP4 1000 on the weekend, or shred the desert and dunes in the all-new Razor XP 1000 Fox Edition, Polaris has you handled. Take my advice and join me and some of the best drivers in the world by driving a Polaris Razor. Check out the full Polaris Razor lineup at Polaris.com or follow them on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Polaris Razor. Whether you're looking for a tire that balances high performance responsiveness and traction in wet and light snow conditions, excellent handling and traction in wet and dry conditions, or a summer performance tire designed with the driving enthusiast in mind, General Tire has you covered. From the all-new G-Max RS to the Grabber ATX, no matter what you drive, General Tire will get you where you're going. Learn more at GeneralTire.com. General Tire, cruising with the Down and Dirty Radio Show since 2012. Hey, this is Jim Beaver, host of the Down and Dirty Radio Show. Getting down and dirty on the racetrack is all fun and games until it's time to get the dirt off. I know it all too well, which is why I've partnered with MotoShield Pro, the leaders in nanotechnology solutions on the racetrack and in off-road to combat mud and dirt buildup on my vehicles. MotoShield Pro keeps us from taking unnecessary damage and spending extra energy on cleaning. No matter the weather or the surface, having proper protection on all my vehicles saves me plenty of reprep time in a sport where every second counts. Prep your vehicle like a pro. Learn more at MotoShieldPro.com. Since 1970, KC Highlights has been designing and manufacturing performance lighting for off-road and motorsports, beginning with the legendary Daylighter up until today's revolutionary Flex, Pod, and Pro 6 lighting systems. KC Highlights offers a full line of halogen, HID, and LED lighting solutions for your off-road vehicle. Looking for the best quality lighting? Looking for the brand champions choose? You're looking for KC Highlights. Find out more information at KCHighlights.com or follow them on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at KC Highlights.
The Subaru WRX and WRX STI, a 268 horsepower turbocharged Subaru Boxer engine, rockets the WRX around corners and down straightaways. A race-ready 305 horsepower turbocharged Subaru Boxer engine keeps the WRX STI a rally legend. The Subaru WRX and WRX STI, it's not a sibling rivalry, it's a tag team. Get the latest from Subaru Rally Team USA at Subaru.com/rally.
Thanks for tuning in to the Down and Dirty Radio Show, available live online, in syndication on networks across the U.S., and available internationally on the American Forces Network.
All right, and we are back here, Jim Beaver, joined on the line by Chris Leone, my media manager over there at the Down and Dirty Radio Show website and our social media accounts, and I don't know, just about every damn thing else I do. Anyways, Chris, we got a lot to talk about here. So I got 3 topics, and we got like 15 minutes. So I guess we got about 4 to 5 minutes apiece on these. So number 1 topic, big news this week. Fernando Alonso. Now, there's been rumors about McLaren. He stepped away from a Formula One. We know this. This is common knowledge at this point. McLaren said they weren't doing an IndyCar entry full-time in 2019. But McLaren announced this week they are going to the Indy 500. Fernando Alonso is going to be their driver. They were coy on possibly running a second entry at the Indy 500. But the big news is this is going to be McLaren. This isn't McLaren Andretti. This isn't McLaren Rahal. This is McLaren. McLaren is coming with their own people and their own team, and they are, entering the Indy 500. Now, that is big because if they just wanted to phone it in, they could have called Andretti and Alonso would have had a seat, or called Penske, or called anybody. Nobody's going to turn Fernando Alonso down, Chris. But I think for McLaren to actually invest in the cars and the tech to actually go there themselves, I mean, are we looking at now maybe McLaren going, maybe we are going to see a full-time McLaren entry in 2020? I mean, I don't know. To me, they're going down that path. I mean, what are your thoughts? What do you read into all this?
Well, one would certainly hope so. I mean, given the fact that McLaren is a brand that's had history in Indianapolis with drivers like Johnny Rutherford and, obviously Fernando, being the world-class talent that he is and wanting to go off and do some other things in the world of racing, explore some other series, and he's even got that driver swap with Jimmy Johnson after the Formula One season finale later this month, and people have even talked about him trying to do the Daytona Indy double potentially. But I think this is a great move on McLaren's part. Obviously, it's fantastic news for IndyCar to get the McLaren brand back in a deeper level of involvement than they were 2 years ago. My understanding is there will still be some Andretti technical backing, but that's no different than, what a lot of teams in a lot of racing series do right now, where obviously Furniture Row in NASCAR, for example, being its own team, but having some Joe Gibbs Racing technical support. But, obviously McLaren establishing its own entity with new personnel, with its own vehicles. I can definitely see this being full-time in 2020, and I think once we get to 2020, I think we're going to see the largest full-time field in IndyCar since definitely before the split. Certainly since about, the Nigel Mansell era when he had come over with Newman Haas and Mario's last couple of years and, just how deep that field was. I think we're going to see the same thing. And there really aren't a lot of ride buyers in IndyCar in the derogatory sense that you think of them anymore either.
Yeah.
So, it's a deep field top to bottom. The interesting thing to me is I look at where IndyCar is right now, and with all of the great talent, whether they're American or international talent, and I look at this and I almost think, wow, this isn't registering for me as huge of news as it could be, just because of how great of a job the folks at IndyCar have done in bringing that series back up certainly over the past 5 years, but I know it's been a long road over the past 20 or so. But, obviously anytime you can get a multiple-time F1 World Championship winner in the car for the Indianapolis 500, it's a big deal. But, man, I'm almost holding out for that full-time effort before I get too hyped, because there's so much talent. You've got other guys who have come over from F1. You've got all these homegrown stars. You've got guys like Newgarden. You've got guys like Graham Rahal. You've got
Rossi,
obviously guys like Alexander Rossi, who's going out and doing the Baja, and I am so stoked to see that. But I'm pumped to see Fernando give the 500 another try. I think it's a race he can win. I think he can make history in that regard, but I'm holding out to see him do the IndyCar championship full time in 2020 with McLaren. That's what's going to move the needle for me.
Yeah, well, and gosh, you want to talk about road courses and street courses. Alonso's going to be an animal there. I think, he's getting up to speed on the ovals. Obviously, we saw at the Indy 500 a couple years ago. He can win races. He was fast. I mean, there's no fear. He's like he'd said. He's like, it's just figuring out the draft and the nuances of the car. And I could see, and we only got about a minute left. We got to switch gears because you and I could talk for the whole segment on this, but. So this year it's an interesting year for IndyCar. We're talking 2019, and that the Indy 500 is the first oval on the calendar. So it's not like we could have saw McLaren go to Phoenix as a test run before they went to Indy. Indy is the first oval on the calendar, but they're going to have all this infrastructure in place. There's a potential to see maybe McLaren do an oval or two after the Indy 500.
Absolutely, and I would certainly hope that they would, whether it's Fernando driving or somebody else. Part-time entries, obviously, they shore up the fields. They make races interesting. It's always great to see some of those entries just kind of pop up here and there on the schedule. It gives a little more attention, a little more respect to some of the other venues that aren't just Indianapolis. I'd love to see them do a track like Gateway. I think that'd be really cool. That community has supported that track. The folks who are running Gateway, have done so much to make that such a fantastic facility now. They're bringing in events left and right. I mean, I can't think of a hotter track in American motorsports right now in terms of how much potential it's gotten, how much of an upswing it has right now than Gateway. And I would love to see if they're going to do another race beyond the 500, I think that's the one that McLaren ought to go to, because I think that race is a ton of fun.
Yeah, it's a packed house. I mean, it's sold-out crowd. It's become amazing. I could also, and this is going down that rabbit hole where we don't want to go, but COTA coming, I mean, Alonso knows that, but that's before Indy, and, but I think that's probably a draw in 2020, but anyways, we gotta switch gears here because we got a lot to talk about here. Next up, we gotta talk about Scott Speed. Now, I touched on it last week. Massive news coming out of the Rallycross community, leaving Volkswagen Andretti Rallycross, moving to Subaru. Now, Scott is a driver. He's a professional driver that and everybody in Rallycross at this point, Arpin, everybody is, but. Here's a guy who's won 4 championships. He's moving to Subaru, who, let's face it, I mean, I'm a Subaru guy, but they've struggled. They've had some struggles, especially next to Andretti. Is this, and we know the Beetle's going away, do you think this is possibly Andretti, Volkswagen bowing out of Rallycross and Scott Speed switching companies? Or is this about Scott Speed wanting longevity of contract? I'm sure he got paid well to make the move. I mean, what do you read into this, Chris? Because it's massive news.
In response to all the things you've said, yes. To be honest, I don't know. Obviously, I kind of fell out of that community in a big way this year with everything that went down. And, a lot of the folks involved in this I have not spoken to directly. Obviously, a big change from the past half decade or so where Rallycross was my beat and was all that I did. I think I can certainly see this as Subaru seeing an opportunity to fill that third seat permanently. I mean, I know that what they did this year, rotating drivers in that third car and giving a bunch of different names a chance to drive it, was good from a media standpoint. But obviously, from a results standpoint, if you have the opportunity to, take on a guy who's won 4 championships in a row and won his first ever Rallycross race and, commands respect on the track in the sport, obviously you go and take it. And when you shore that up, when you shore up the lineup that you already have with Patrick Sandell, who just gave Subaru its best points finish ever in Rallycross, and Chris Atkinson, who is always fast and always a threat to be on the podium, you've got an opportunity to go and sweep out podiums no matter what anybody else is doing next year. That's the kind of talent you have, and obviously, if you are the lone remaining factory outfit, and I don't know what the case is. I've heard rumors about the Beatles still running, but without VW involvement. I've heard the possibility of them going away entirely. I just don't know. I'm as in the dark as anybody else listening is on that, and obviously I'd love to know a little more, because, look, we're all race fans, and we all want to know everything as soon as we possibly can. But, regardless of what's going on, I think you've got a driver lineup there that can go take first, second, and third on any given weekend. We all know that rallycross is unpredictable, and, the slightest bit of contact can sometimes screw up your entire event for 2 days, and that's obviously tough to deal with. But, that's Subaru giving its partners at Vermont Sports Car, their full support and their full faith, saying, hey, we've gotten you the best drivers that we can possibly do. Now it's on you guys to finish up this car, perfect it, and go out and get us that championship that our fans want and that we've been waiting for. And so now the focus turns on the race team and on Subaru itself to get those cars perfected and, go out and really take the fight to whoever else is out there competing next year. Obviously it's still a bit early to know what it's going to look like. And having dealt with this for years and years, I would be very surprised if a calendar comes out before the turn of the new year. You wouldn't believe how many times I did that dance and how many times calendars have changed. And, man, if you saw some of the calendars that we almost ran, that we were trying to run, God, some of those things are cool, and I wish that some of them had come to fruition. But, I know firsthand how tough it is to get all of that stuff organized for a discipline of racing that really does not have enough permanent facilities in America to make a schedule self-evident. I know that I'm sure that everybody is working hard. I'm sure that just because, things have changed in that atmosphere, I don't think that's dampened anybody's work ethic anywhere. I don't know, I don't really know anything, and I know you've talked about how that's been a bit of a disappointment to you over the past year. It certainly has been to me. It's been difficult to find some of these events, and it's been difficult, for me to try and follow my friends and people I've cultivated relationships with over the past half decade. And, you don't want to harbor bitterness or anything, but, seeing some of the output on the content side, which is what I was obviously brought in to do, has been frustrating because, up until a week before the first race, there was nothing. There was literally nothing. And a lot of those guys, again, I have to be careful in what I say on this. I don't want to come off badly, but, from what I saw trying to take it in as a fan, and weighing that with my relationships with the race teams that I built over the past half decade, those race teams, those competitors, they work their butts off. They deserve the absolute best that the sport has to offer, and I really hope that they get that next year because, they work hard. They work much too hard to, have it be this difficult to sometimes find things. And I know that, Subaru has always been in that, in that realm of people, that group that they have always worked their butts off, and they've always tried anything they can possibly try to go out and, all those teams, Subaru, Andretti, Lowenbro, everybody who's running out there, they deserve the absolute best. And, I'm certainly hoping for that for all of them for next year.
Yeah, completely agreed. Well, we got to take a short break. I'm going to keep you on the line yet again through this next commercial break, Chris, because I'm going to give you 3 minutes to give us a spiel on the Gymkhana files, because I don't know what I'm talking about, but you do. So we are going to take a short break. We come back. We'll be talking Gymkhana files here on the Down and Dirty Radio Show, powered by Polaris Razor. I'm Polaris rider Jim Beaver. I race trophy trucks professionally, host a Down and Dirty radio show, and also travel the country announcing motorsports events. I've seen it all, and trust me, I've done most of it. So when it comes time to relax on the weekend, nothing is better than taking time with my family in our Razor vehicles. They've got the reliability I need to just pick up and go explore the desert, dunes, or trail, and have the capability to attack even the harshest terrain. If you're looking for some of the most reliable and safest, and hands down most capable off-road machines in the world, look no further than Polaris and their award-winning lineup of Razor vehicles. Whether you want your daughter to experience off-road driving for the first time in a Razor 170 like me, take the entire family out in a Razor XP4 1000 on the weekend, or shred the desert and dunes in the all-new Razor XP 1000 Fox Edition, Polaris has you handled. Take my advice and join me and some of the best drivers in the world by driving a Polaris Razor. Check out the full Polaris Razor lineup at Polaris.com or follow them on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Polaris Razor. Looking to have some fun on four wheels? Dirtfish Rally School has you covered. Packing as much adrenaline and adventure as you can handle into high-performance all-wheel drive and rear-wheel drive Subaru rally cars is where the fun begins at Dirtfish. Just 30 minutes outside of Seattle in Snoqualmie, you'll get a chance to train up to 3 full days with some of the country's best instructors and be put through the high-octane rush of rally on mud, dirt, and tarmac. Get started today and call 425-888-7715 or visit us online at dirtfish.com and use code 911 for a 15% discount. For 100 years, General Tire has provided tires for your lifestyle, your adventure, your anywhere. Born from competition, the Grabber tire offers the durability and off-road traction you demand in a tire. We put these tires to the test in the harshest off-road racing conditions to give you a tire that will make your anywhere possible. So let us take you on your next big adventure. Tweet us photos at General Tire, hashtag anywhere is possible. Because with General Tire, anywhere is possible. When looking for a new wheel for your off-road vehicle, car, truck, or UTV, the choice is easy. You choose what the pros use. Rob McCachran, Keegan Kincaid, and myself, Jim Beaver, all exclusively use Vision Wheel, whether we're dominating Baja, taking the cup at Crandon, or shredding UTVs. Vision Wheel's trend-setting designs and durability will set you apart from the competition and your friends. Check out visionwheel.com or at Vision Wheel on social media to learn more.
Come to the island and rip it up this summer. Wakeboard Island. It's a skate park on water at Blue Water Resort and Casino. Check out the 2-tower cable system that pulls you and your board over the water. No boats to watch out for. No fumes. Wakeboard Island is open to all skill levels with an open center section for beginners. And for trick riders, a double side kicker in a 60-foot flat box. Wakeboard Island. The best ride this side of the Rockies. Adjacent to the River's Edge Cantina at Blue Water Resort and Casino on the Colorado River in Parker, Arizona.
You're listening to the Down and Dirty Radio Show, powered by Polaris Razor. All killer and no filler.
All right, welcome back here to the Down and Dirty Radio Show, powered by Polaris Razor. Jim Beaver joined here with Chris Leone, I guess, for our third segment. All right, Chris, we literally have 2 minutes in this segment, but Gymkhana files dropping. I know Monster Energy just threw something out there with like a picture of 5 of Ken Block's cars he's going to have in Gymkhana 10. Tell us all we need to know in 60 seconds on Gymkhana files and whatever the hell Ken Block's got going on.
Gymkhana Files is coming out, debuting on Friday on Amazon Prime. I'm stoked to see it. They're dropping 2 episodes a week, and then the final week is going to be the week that Gymkhana 10 drops. Ken's got 5 of his, most awesome cars. He's got the brand new Huna truck joining the V2 Unicorn. Obviously the Ford Escort Cosworth's in there, and then 2 of his rally and other rally and rallycross cars, the Fiesta WRC and the Focus RS RX. They're running them in 5 different locations. I'm really stoked to see this documentary series. It's going to be awesome to get behind the scenes with the Hoonigan guys as they put together, what I am sure is going to be one of the most iconic and exciting Gymkhana videos that Ken has ever done. And it gets harder and harder for them to top themselves every single year, but I can't wait for this video series. We'll go do episode reviews every single week as these things keep dropping, so make sure to check them out on the downanddirtyshow.com website, alongside everything else that we're doing for Baja, the WRC finale this weekend, the end of the F1 Championship, Snowcross. We've got a lot coming, and thankfully Ken is just dropping some amazing footage for us to salivate over these next couple of weeks as well.
Yep. All right, Chris. Well, thanks a lot, my friend. We are going to take a short break. We'll be back with hour number 2 next here on the Down and Dirty Radio Show, powered by Polaris Razor. You want extreme performance, reliability, and the most fun you can have on 4 wheels? The Polaris Razor brings it to you. But you don't need to take my word for it. You can take theirs.
I'm Tanner Faust, and I choose the Polaris Razor because it's the most fun you can have with a steering wheel.
What's up? I'm Ronnie Renner, and I choose Polaris Razor because it's the sickest, most reliable side-by-side on the planet.
What's up, everybody? Heavy D from Diesel Brothers. Listen, I'm on Team Razor because it's hands down the best piece of machinery on the planet.
I'm RJ Anderson, and I choose Polaris Razor because it's the most fun, most capable machine.
Action sports stars, TV personalities, and some of the best race car drivers in the world all choose Polaris Razor because it's the ultimate combination of power, suspension, agility, and fun. Find out more information on the web at PolarisRazor.com or follow at Polaris Razor on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, and use the hashtag RazorLife to share your story.
Thanks for tuning in to the Down and Dirty Radio Show, available live online, in syndication on networks across the U.S., and available internationally on the American Forces Network.
All right, we're back here to kick off hour number 2 on the Down and Dirty Radio Show, powered by Polaris Razor. Shenanigan-filled, I guess, first hour. Not a lot accomplished off the start, but we hit our stride there once Chris Leone got us straightened out. But, thank you guys for joining us here on hour number 2. If you're just tuning in, welcome. If you've been here since the start, thanks for bearing with us. It's going to be a great hour number 2 coming up. We've got J.R. Todd. He is your funny car world champ for NHRA. He's going to be on the line here next. And later on, we've got Matt Smith, Pro Stock Bike World Champ for NHRA. He is going to be on the line as well. We got a big Baja 1000 preview coming as well here in the next hour, and I'll probably dive into some fan questions. Big one, what's it like to crash a race car? So we'll get to that as well. So if you got your fan questions, hit me up at JimBeaver15 on Twitter, and we will get those answered here in hour number 2 as well. Make sure if you haven't already, go and check out my other show, Project Action, on Podcast One. It's on the Podcast One network, but it is also available on iTunes and my website. Subscribe there on iTunes, but lots of different guests that we get on that. We've done some amazing interviews. My good friend Matt D'Andrea recently, Eddie Braun, stuntman who redid Evel Knievel's, I guess his failed Snake River Canyon jump, but Eddie Braun kind of righted that ship. We've got Tori Wilson coming up in the next couple of weeks, former WWE pro wrestler. And this week, a special one. Be watching both YouTube, my Facebook, the Down and Dirty Show feed, and Project Action feed. I did a sit-down interview with Mitch Guthrie, RJ Anderson, Matt Martelli, and myself talking off-road and UTVs. It's an amazing interview, and it's like 40 minutes long. We filmed it out at Glamis on location, so we got the video component that we're going to add to it. Definitely make sure and check that out. It's going to drop this week, this Thursday, so I think you guys are definitely going to enjoy that. I'll be on the road later this week. I will be a guest on Spike Ferriston's Spike's Car Radio, as well as the Natalie Ava Marie Show in the coming weeks, doing that taping this week out there in Beverly Hills at the Podcast One studio. So a lot of guest appearances for me coming up as well. So, if you got those fan questions, make sure and hit me up at JimBeaver15. We'll get them answered in the second segment here in hour number 2. Love hearing from you guys. And once again, don't forget, go back and check out that survey in our group on Facebook, on changes you want to hear to the show. I would love to have your guys' feedback on that. But thank you guys for tuning in. We're going to take a short break. We come back. It is going to be J.R. Todd on the line here on the Down and Dirty Radio Show, powered by Polaris Razor. Want extreme performance, reliability, and the most fun you can have on 4 wheels? The Polaris Razor brings it to you. But you don't need to take my word for it. You can take theirs.
I'm Tanner Faust, and I choose the Polaris Razor because it's the most fun you can have with a steering wheel.
What's up? I'm Ronnie Renner, and I choose Polaris Razor because it's the sickest, most reliable side-by-side on the planet.
What's up, everybody? Heavy D from Diesel Brothers. Listen, I'm on Team Razor because it's hands down the best piece of machinery on the planet.
I'm RJ Anderson, and I choose Polaris RZR because it's the most fun, most capable machine.
Action sports stars, TV personalities, and some of the best race car drivers in the world all choose Polaris RZR because it's the ultimate combination of power, suspension, agility, and fun. Find out more information on the web at PolarisRZR.com or follow at Polaris RZR on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, and use the hashtag RazorLife to share your story. For 100 years, General Tire has provided tires for your lifestyle, your adventure, your anywhere. Born from competition, the Grabber tire offers the durability and off-road traction you demand in a tire. We put these tires to the test in the harshest off-road racing conditions to give you a tire that will make your anywhere possible. So let us take you on your next big adventure. Tweet us photos at General Tire, hashtag anywhere is possible. Because with General Tire, anywhere is possible.
Come to the island and rip it up this summer. Wakeboard Island. It's a skate park on water at Blue Water Resort and Casino. Check out the two-tower cable system that pulls you and your board over the water. No boats to watch out for, no fumes. Wakeboard Island is open to all skill levels with an open center section for beginners and for trick riders, a double side kicker in a 60-foot flat box. Wakeboard Island, the best ride this side of the Rockies, adjacent to the River's Edge Cantina at Blue Water Resort and Casino on the Colorado River in Parker, Arizona.
Looking to have some fun on four wheels? Dirtfish Rally School has you covered. Packing as much adrenaline and adventure as you can handle into high-performance all-wheel drive and rear-wheel drive Subaru rally cars is where the fun begins at Dirtfish. Just 30 minutes outside of Seattle and Snoqualmie, you'll get a chance to train up to 3 full days with some of the country's best instructors and be put through the high-octane rush of rally on mud, dirt, and tarmac. Get started today and call 425-888-7715 or visit us online at dirtfish.com and use code 911 for a 15% discount.
The Subaru WRX and WRX STI, a 268 horsepower turbocharged Subaru Boxer engine, rockets the WRX around corners and down straightaways. A race-ready 305 horsepower turbocharged Subaru Boxer engine keeps the WRX STI a rally legend. The Subaru WRX and WRX STI, it's not a sibling rivalry, it's a tag team. Get the latest from Subaru Rally Team USA at Subaru.com/rally.
Like what you hear? Catch all the back episodes of the Down and Dirty Radio Show on Apple Podcast and be sure to rate, review, and subscribe.
Welcome back to the Down and Dirty Radio Show, powered by Polaris RZR. Like to welcome the 2018 Funny Car World Champion, J.R. Todd, to the line. I don't know, it's got a pretty nice ring to it, doesn't it there, J.R.?
Yeah, man, I like the sound of that for sure.
Yeah, well, you know, we're gonna talk about 2018. Well, we'll talk about it right now. We got a lot to talk about here in this next few minutes, but man, I mean, this thing going down to the wire, the final round, I mean, the final weekend. I mean, what's going into your mind going through this weekend? Because you guys have had one hell of a year, but you had Robert Hight right there, chomping. He was right there at the door waiting for you to make a mistake, man. Did you feel quite a bit of pressure going into this past weekend?
Yes, I did, for sure. I mean, the last week after the Las Vegas race it was pretty stressful. I was trying not to let it get to me, but the night before the race there in Pomona, Saturday night, I didn't sleep worth a crap, and that's when I knew that it was on at that point. I mean, 1.5 points, and we had a 74-point lead going into Sunday, but with 1.5 points there on Sunday, I knew anything could happen. And then with Robert going out first round right there in front of us, that was like instant relief. I mean, I was so happy at that point. I mean, you never wish anything bad on your competitors, but it's such a big deal. And for it to come down to the last race of the season, the last day of the season, it was a huge, huge ordeal for us.
Yeah, well, and this, I guess, is this is only your second year in Funny Car too. I mean, and obviously we'll talk about your background in drag racing in general, but I mean, year number 2 in Funny Car, that's got to have you pretty excited about the future of your career in Funny Car. Year number 2, walking away with a championship. It's a lot of momentum, man.
Yeah, for sure. Because I mean, in my opinion, I feel like Funny Car is possibly the most. It's a challenging category. I mean, people don't understand how difficult it is to drive a funny car. And I feel like it's the most competitive category in our sport. I mean, the cars are so close together in performance, and a lot of it comes down to the drivers getting the job done. And my team with the DHL Wixos Toyota Camry guys, they did an awesome job all season long, and they won a championship in 2015 with Del Worsham, and they know how to win, and they know what it takes. And I'm kind of the new guy to the group, and it's just it's awesome to be a part of it, and it's something special that I'm never going to forget.
Yeah. Well, and, that being said, you said funny car, it's one of the toughest, cars to drive, you feel like, in drag racing. That being said, I mean, you're an accomplished Top Fuel guy as well. I mean, how was that transition? Because I've talked to guys like Antron Brown who have, raced in a few different categories and things like that, and he says they're all different. I mean, and you're coming from Top Fuel, speeds are arguably the same, but, I mean, how was that transition to funny car? I mean, what's different about driving the cars?
The thing is, I mean, I've driven dragsters my entire career. I drove a Top Fuel dragster the week after I graduated high school back in the year 2000. So that's all I've ever known, really. Like, you build up, characteristics and habits over time driving these dragsters that it almost becomes second nature to you, like kind of like riding a bike. And then you hop into a funny car, you would try applying everything that you've learned in a dragster to a funny car, and it does not work at all. So you kind of just gotta start over and retrain yourself, and it becomes frustrating as a driver because, I mean, you pride yourself on your driving over time, and you want to make yourself better. So, I felt like I was a good dragster driver, and you get in a funny car, and it just makes you look stupid. So it was really frustrating at times, but I mean, it's still frustrating at times. It's a never-ending process trying to learn how to drive one of these cars, and they definitely make you respect them. They kind of show you who's boss, but at the same time, it's a lot of fun. And it's a never-ending challenge. I see my teammate Sean Langdon going through it now. I mean, he's a world champ in everything that he's driven, and now that he's switched over to the funny car, this was his first year, and I can see him going through everything that I did last year and just telling him, like, you're doing a great job. Just don't get mad at yourself and don't give up on yourself. And, it comes with time.
Yeah. Well, and, and that being said, I mean, I want to talk about your career for a minute because you're one of those guys, you've kept at it, man. And that's one thing I've always liked about J.R. Todd is, there was a point there where you were at the top of the world in Top Fuel. And then, I've read some articles and things like that where you've said, it's like sponsorship goes away and you think, hey, man, I'm winning. I got a job for as long as I want it. And then all of a sudden, marketing budget change. There's so much that's tied into being a professional race car driver. Sometimes it's not necessarily what's going on track. It's what's happening in a boardroom across the country. I mean, you've had a heck of a roller coaster career, man. I mean, this has to make you feel really good just to be back on top, after, going and you didn't know if you were, at one point, probably if you had a job as a professional drag racer or not, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, when you're a young punk, you think that when you get this opportunity that you're going to do it the rest of your life. And then, like you said, things happen with sponsorship and the economy taking a dive, just everything. It kind of makes you respect the job a lot more. And yeah, I'm definitely thankful for this opportunity that I have now. And it makes you more appreciative of everything. And it's been a big roller coaster ride up to this point, and I'm glad I didn't give up, because there's times I thought, well, this is it. I'm gonna have to go get a 9-to-5 job. And when it comes to that point, it's tough for you to get back out here racing unless you go and hunt sponsorship or come from a rich family background to bring money in one of these teams, which I don't. And I'm thankful that excuse me, in my career that I've been able to get these opportunities basically just on the ability to drive the car and get that job done. But yeah, in this day and age, that's hard to do, and a lot of times it comes down to whatever driver can bring the most money to a team to get the driving seat. And I'm just fortunate enough that I got a good group here at Coletta Motorsports that Connie Coletta believed in me and gave me an opportunity, and I tried to make the best of it.
Yeah, well, and that being said, man, you're the man right now as far as funny car goes, right? You're going into the off season with a target on your back. I mean, how did that's got to be a little bit different feeling heading into next year. I mean, how do you approach this off season? I mean, how is J.R. Todd looking at things? Because you got to bring your A game even more so in 2019.
More than anything, I'm just going to enjoy it, man, because you work your entire career for this moment to be a world champ. I mean, that's why we're all out here racing, is to win races and to battle for a championship and be that opportunity. So I'm going to make the most of it right now. We're out here in Hollywood. We got our awards banquet tonight, and going to go to the beach for a couple days and hang out, and go back to Indiana and spend some time with my family for the holidays, and then we'll get geared up for 2019. And it's going to be awesome having the number one on the side at DHL Toyota Camry. And I guarantee you, we're not going to let up. We're going cruise control next year for sure. I mean, we're going to come out guns blazing and trying to repeat what we did this year.
Yeah. Well, and here's a question before we let you go. But I mean, you guys locked this thing up before, like you said early in the day. And so you knew you were the world champ, but yet you went on to win the event. I mean, I got to think that's got to be pretty tough after you've got the championship, just keeping that focus, you and the team, because you guys want to celebrate, but yet you still got a couple of rounds left because you want to win the event. I mean, how hard was it for you at that point to keep your focus on, hey, we still have a chance here to win the event?
It was definitely hard to keep focused, man. It was hard to keep focused after that first round, seeing Bob Taskett take out Robert Hyde. And I was celebrating pretty good there inside the car, and had a lot of all the crew members and even members from different teams coming up and congratulating us. I thought that was way cool. And yeah, I mean, that was our mission going into the weekend, was to win the race. A lot of people were asking, hey, what do you need to do to clinch the championship? And I kept saying we need to win the race, and things will work themselves out at that point. And the guys, they stuck to it. I got to give it to them for staying focused. I mean, they could have easily just said, hey, man, we clinched the championship. We don't care at this point what happens. Yeah. But they worked their asses off and stayed focused, and turned on 4 win lights yesterday. That was pretty special.
Yeah, definitely, man. It's always special to turn on 4 win lights, walk away with a Wally and the World Championship. Well, JR Todd, I appreciate the time, man. We'll let you have some fun at this awards banquet and enjoy your time on the beach, my friend.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it. It's going to be a fun off season.
All right. Thanks a lot, my man. And that was JR Todd, your 2018 NHRA Funny Car World Champion. Man, champions were crowned this weekend out there at the Pomona event. Man, always fun to catch up with a new guest on air. But JR Todd, class act, and great having him call into the show today. So big shout out to him. And obviously we recorded that yesterday. I think everybody's feeling a little probably slow to wake up this morning. So I thought it'd be best to get them before the awards banquet and not after it. So pre-taped these drag race interviews, just because I thought it would be the wise choice. But anyways, we're going to take a short break. We come back. Baja preview next here on the Down and Dirty Radio Show, powered by Polaris RZR. I'm Polaris rider Jim Beaver. I race trophy trucks professionally, host a Down and Dirty radio show, and also travel the country announcing motorsports events. I've seen it all, and trust me, I've done most of it. So when it comes time to relax on the weekend, nothing is better than taking time with my family in our RZR vehicles. They've got the reliability I need to just pick up and go explore the desert, dunes, or trail, and have the capability to attack even the harshest terrain. If you're looking for some of the most reliable and safest, and hands down most capable off-road machines in the world, look no further than Polaris and their award-winning lineup of RZR vehicles. Whether you want your daughter to experience off-road driving for the first time in a RZR 170 like me, take the entire family out in a RZR XP4 1000 on the weekend, or shred the desert and dunes in the all-new RZR XP 1000 Fox Edition, Polaris has you handled. Take my advice and join me and some of the best drivers in the world by driving a Polaris RZR. Check out the full Polaris RZR lineup at Polaris.com or follow them on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Polaris RZR. Looking to have some fun on 4 wheels? Dirtfish Rally School has you covered. Packing as much adrenaline and adventure as you can handle into high-performance all-wheel drive and rear-wheel drive Subaru rally cars is where the fun begins at Dirtfish. Just 30 minutes outside of Seattle and Snoqualmie, you'll get a chance to train up to 3 full days with some of the country's best instructors and be put through the high-octane rush of rally on mud, dirt, and tarmac. Get started today and call 425-888-7715 or visit us online at dirtfish.com and use code 911 for a 15% discount. Hey, this is Jim Beaver, host of the Down and Dirty Radio Show. Getting down and dirty on the racetrack is all fun and games until it's time to get the dirt off. I know it all too well, which is why I partnered with MotoShield Pro, the leaders in nanotechnology solutions on the racetrack and in off-road to combat mud and dirt buildup on my vehicles. MotoShield Pro keeps us from taking unnecessary damage and spending extra energy on cleaning. No matter the weather or the surface, having proper protection on all my vehicles saves me plenty of reprep time in a sport where every second counts. Prep your vehicle like a pro. Learn more at MotoShieldPro.com.
Life is all about sound. The sound of sports. The sound at the racetrack. And the sound of your vehicle. Don't drive around listening to this. Drive around listening to the sound of performance. Gibson Performance. Gibson Performance Exhaust is the company who can turn this into this. Remember that life is all about sound, and Gibson Exhaust is the sound of performance. Check out your next catback exhaust system, headers, muffler, or UTV exhaust at GibsonPerformance.com and get more power and more sound.
The Subaru WRX and WRX STI. A 268 horsepower turbocharged Subaru Boxer engine rockets the WRX around corners and down straightaways. A race-ready 305 horsepower turbocharged Subaru Boxer engine keeps the WRX STI a rally legend. The Subaru WRX and WRX STI. It's not a sibling rivalry. It's a tag team. Get the latest from Subaru Rally Team USA at Subaru.com/rally.
Like what you hear? Catch all the back episodes of the Down and Dirty Radio Show on Apple Podcast, and be sure to rate, review, and subscribe.
Welcome back to the Down and Dirty Radio Show, powered by Polaris Razor. That is right. It is Baja 1000 time. We've talked a little bit of everything on today's show so far, but we haven't talked about my bread and butter, my favorite, that is off-road desert racing. And man, my phone's been blowing up since we started. You know, I do check my email and my texts and things like that as the show goes on. Sometimes you get to breaking news, and Best in the Desert did make a big announcement here shortly. They're adding some UTV divisions, making some adjustments to the current divisions. But the big news is they are adding a single-seat UTV division called the RS1 class, which makes me wonder, obviously it's for the single-seat RS1s. It makes me wonder, though, if you were to build like a regular UTV with like a center seat, if it would be legal for that class. So I don't know, man. Are lots of questions surrounding that, right? But they are adding a single-seat division for 2019, and they've got the weird calendar where Pahrump ends in first week of January, and then you turn around and then boom, 3 weeks later, 4 weeks later, right around the 1st of January, you've got the Parker 250. So there's no off season in desert racing whatsoever. Score a little bit longer off season, but not much. And speaking of score, obviously the Baja 1000 this week, it is the big one. It is the 10,000-pound gorilla in the room. And one thing I like about Baja is a lot of people don't understand Baja, but they respect Baja. There's always yearly, there's this annual survey, the 10 most influential or biggest motorsports events in the world, right? And, Baja 1000 is always on the list, always towards the top, right? You got Indy 500, Daytona 500, Monaco Grand Prix, Le Mans, 24 hours of Daytona. Once in a while, Pikes Peak will slide in there. I think, there's always some big events, on this thing. But, the Baja 1000 somehow, year after year, slides its way right into the list. And, that's always, it makes me feel good about things, because I think us as ambassadors to the sport of off-road, we're doing a good job of getting the word out on Baja and off-road in general. It's always great that, a lot of outsiders have respect. And, it's like talking to Alexander Rossi last week. And if you haven't listened to that interview, it's worth going back into the archives and listening to. But Alexander Rossi, he... Like you said, dude, everybody wants to go to Baja. And you look, Mario Andretti's gone down there, not necessarily race, just to have fun. But, Rick Mears, obviously you got Robbie Gordon. Robbie's running in NASCAR when he was, at an elite level. But every year he would at least make time to come back for the Baja 1000. And, I think that's really special when you've got guys that, that go on but come back and, Makes you wonder about Jimmy Johnson, right? He's become one of the greatest NASCAR drivers of all time. Is Jimmy Johnson at some point going to be like, man, I'm retired. I want to go back to Baja? Same with Dale Earnhardt Jr. Speaking of Dale Earnhardt Jr., you should, he hasn't ever been to Baja, but you wonder now that he's retired if it's an itch maybe he wants to scratch at some point, right? I don't know, to be told. But that being said, Dale Earnhardt Jr., I digress here, but you really should check out the interview he did on Joe Rogan's podcast. An amazing interview, 2 hours long. Talks about his dad, talks about concussions, and man, he had some wicked concussions I don't think a lot of people knew about, but an amazing interview, and he's just a real guy, and you got to respect that, and you got to love that about him. But Dale Earnhardt Jr. has also got a new book out, but definitely worth listening to Joe Rogan's podcast and checking that out, because was a truly amazing interview. So moving on back to Baja. Yes, it does start. I don't know, everybody, I say this week. I mean, qualifying was a couple of weeks ago. We've already gone over qualifying results, but a lot of guys have been down there for a week already, pre-running. I should say ladies, fair share of ladies racing Baja as well. I guess I should be a little bit word things a little bit better, but racers, a lot of the racers already down there pre-running. This is the 51st annual Baja 1000. Last year was point-to-point Baja 1000 for the 50th. 51st, it's a Loop Baja 1000. Those of you that don't know the difference, point-to-point, they start in Ensenada, end in La Paz, sometimes it ends in Cabo, but it stretches the length of the Baja Peninsula. It's very expensive to run. It's very expensive to put on. That happens once every 3 years. The years in between that, they run a loop race, which is a little bit shorter. It's like 1,000 kilometers, but not necessarily miles. Miles, it's like 800. This year, 806.76 miles. But it stretches about halfway down the peninsula and then comes back to Ensenada, starting in Ensenada. It's cheaper for crews, cheaper for teams, cheaper for score to put on. It's a Loop Baja 1000. But it still takes a lot of pre-running, a lot of infrastructure to go and do that. Pre-running has already begun. This week, race festivities happen. So if you're looking to tune in, check out Score's website, score-international.com. They're going to have live streaming from continuing to see the start line and the finish line. Lots of commentary. One thing they have done, they push the bike and quad start up even more. They start at 4 a.m. Pacific on Friday. Cars and Trucks UTV start at 10:30 a.m. on Friday. You can also get the live tracking and stuff like that at Score International's website as well. And that's such a good thing, having that big gap there, because you don't want cars, trophy trucks mixing it up with sportsman quads and guys just out there trying to finish. It's a bad combination. This is the 51st annual. 52nd annual should be a loop race as well. So I think we're looking at like the 53rd where we go back to the point-to-point. But like I said before, 806 miles long. It runs around the northern part of the Baja Peninsula. Starts and finishes in Ensenada, which if you haven't ever been to Ensenada, a beautiful, beautiful... Hold on, I'm going to sneeze here. We're going to have to mute myself. Wow, that's never happened in the show. Well, you're breaking ground. We're like 361 episodes in. I've never had to sneeze. So I had to mute myself there. Wow. So this is the 51st annual, like we said, split start, bikes and quads starting early, cars and trucks later, expecting like 300 entries. I know with our website, we did a big thing on the super teams. And in trophy truck specifically, because everybody's teaming up, and that is, I think that's the big thing. Everybody, even Vegas to Reno, guys are soloing it. That used to be a race you tag team. I still like to tag team Vegas to Reno, do like 250, 300 miles and tag out and let somebody else do it. But a lot of guys can even solo that. And with the technology of the trucks and the speeds, it's not that hard to do anymore. I mean, I've done it a bunch of times. But Baja, man, 800 miles, there's going to be some guys that try and solo that. But, it's one of those things where you do 400 miles and you tag out to somebody else and they're fresh and you can run at 100% the entire time. There comes a point when you don't tag out that you can still race, but you're not at that elite peak level. And and with Trophy Truck now, you have to be running at that elite peak level. It's it just has to happen. So, I'm expecting this race. I don't want to say 24 hours. What if they? We're gonna pull out the handy dandy calculator here. See how long that we think this thing is going to go on. But so it's 800 miles, and here we go. Calculator, 800 miles. Not 8,000. 800 miles divided by 60 miles an hour equals 13 hours. It's going to take them longer than 13 hours to do this thing. So, you're looking if they start at 10 a.m., I would say early morning. I'd say after midnight, something like that. That evening, you're going to see some of the trophy trucks start to finish. They're going to trickle in for the next day, though. Trophy trucks and UTVs and a bunch of other people. So it's going to be a long night. Definitely a long race. This one's grueling. If you haven't ever been there, I call it adventure racing. Desert racing is adventure racing, and that's why I like it, man. I'm all about the adventures. Talking about that, I know. My website, downanddirtyshow.com, we got big previews all week long. We've got the Trophy Truck Super Teams article already up at downanddirtyshow.com. We've got a preview that's going up, I believe already went up today maybe. Got a lot of content we're going to spread throughout the week. Also on the UTV side, utvunderground.com. Chris is actually writing for them as well, doing event coverage for Baja. So next week on the show, we're going to have winners interviews and things like that. But it is Baja week this week. We're going to have a ton of content dropping on the website. So if you're an off-road desert racing fan, you definitely want to be locked in at downanddirtyshow.com because we are going to have you guys covered for sure. We also, I'm just looking through, we've got like some points battles going on, 36 points separate the top 7 in 4 different classes. That's just nuts, And then for the score overall points lead, you've got Rob McCachran and my boy Wayne Matlock, 285 points. And I love the overall points for score because that's where you get different classes do battle. But, it's almost, in a lot of these classes, you've got almost a winner-take-all situation. Got Cameron Steele leading trophy truck points. Over Bryce Swaim, and it's one of those things when you go down to the biggest race of the year, it's almost like we had an NHRA this weekend. It's a winner-take-all situation, and you love to have that in any kind of motorsports where the last race of the year, almost like NASCAR's done with their playoffs, right? And there we go with another NASCAR reference today on the Down and Dirty Radio Show. But, they head into Miami, and it's a winner-take-all situation. So, definitely be tuning into our website for more Baja talk and Baja content. But we are going to take a short break. We come back. It is Matt Smith on the line here on the Down and Dirty Radio Show, powered by Polaris RZR.
Want extreme performance, reliability, and the most fun you can have on 4 wheels? The Polaris RZR brings it to you. But you don't need to take my word for it. You can take theirs.
I'm Tanner Faust, and I choose the Polaris RZR because it's the most fun you can have with a steering wheel.
What's up? I'm Ronnie Renner, and I choose Polaris RZR because it's the sickest, most reliable side-by-side on the planet.
What's up, everybody? Heavy D from Diesel Brothers. Listen, I'm on Team RZR because it's hands down the best piece of machinery on the planet.
I'm RJ Anderson, and I choose Polaris RZR because it's the most fun, most capable machine.
Action sports stars, TV personalities, and some of the best race car drivers in the world all choose Polaris RZR because it's the ultimate combination of power, suspension, agility, and fun. Find out more information on the web at PolarisRZR.com or follow at Polaris RZR on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, and use the hashtag RazorLife to share your story. Looking to have some fun on 4 wheels? Dirtfish Rally School has you covered, packing as much adrenaline and adventure as you can handle into high-performance all-wheel drive and rear-wheel drive Subaru rally cars is where the fun begins at Dirtfish. Just 30 minutes outside of Seattle and Snoqualmie, you'll get a chance to train up to 3 full days with some of the country's best instructors and be put through the high-octane rush of rally on mud, dirt, and tarmac. Get started today and call 425-888-7715 or visit us online at dirtfish.com and use code 911 for a 15% discount.
The Subaru WRX and WRX STI, a 268-horsepower turbocharged Subaru Boxer engine, rockets the WRX around corners and down straightaways. A race-ready 305-horsepower turbocharged Subaru Boxer engine keeps the WRX STI a rally legend. The Subaru WRX and WRX STI, it's not a sibling rivalry. It's a tag team. Get the latest from Subaru Rally Team USA at Subaru.com/rally.
Life is all about sound. The sound of sports. The sound at the racetrack. And the sound of your vehicle. Don't drive around listening to this. Drive around listening to the sound of performance. Gibson Performance. Gibson Performance Exhaust is the company who can turn this into this. Remember that life is all about sound, and Gibson Exhaust is the sound of performance. Check out your next catback exhaust system, headers, muffler, or UTV exhaust at GibsonPerformance.com and get more power and more sound.
When looking for a new wheel for your off-road vehicle, car, truck, or UTV, the choice is easy. You choose what the pros use. Rob McCachran, Keegan Kincaid, and myself, Jim Beaver, all exclusively use Vision Wheel, whether we're dominating Baja, taking the cup at Crandon, or shredding UTVs. Vision Wheel's trend-setting designs and durability will set you apart from the competition and your friends. Check out VisionWheel.com or at Vision Wheel on social media to learn more.
You're listening to the Down and Dirty Radio Show, powered by Polaris Razor. All killer and no filler.
Welcome back to the Down and Dirty Radio Show, powered by Polaris Razor. Like to welcome Pro Stock Motorcycle World Champ Matt Smith to the line. How's everything going, Matt?
Everything's going great. We're proud to be on the show.
Well, I am stoked to have you, man, and it's not every day we get to talk to a world champion, so I guess congrats on that. It's a nice title to be wearing today, I'm sure.
Yeah, nice title to wear, and I've been signing a 2X for a long time, so I get to be a 3X now.
Yeah, you're moving up to a 3X. You know, 3X don't work on a motorcycle too often. I guess it's Sturgis that does, but I don't think in your line of work wearing a 3X would be quite so good, huh?
No, not in the size department,
Yeah.
but on the championship side, it looks pretty nice.
Yeah, no, I was just giving you a little crap there. But, yeah, 3X, man. I mean, this one, we got to talk about this one, though, because if you want to talk about a nail-biter of a championship, I don't think you can write a story as close as what you had with Eddie.
Yeah, it was a fantastic weekend for my team and all the people associated with us. It was a lot like the first championship I won in 2007. I had to win the race to win the championship at Pomona. And, we did it in 07 and we did it in 13.
Yeah.
Or in 18, my fault.
Yeah. Well, in talking about that, because you talk about the champions, and I talked with J.R. Todd earlier, and he won it earlier in the day, so then it's like pressure's off. I talked to Steve Torrance last week, and Steve had his locked up a week before the whole thing ended, But for you, does it make it that much sweeter when it goes down to the wire, you win the race, you win the championship, you know what I mean, and you did it does that make it just a little bit sweeter for you?
Yeah, I mean, it makes it really sweet. It's just very nerve-wracking, because at any time a $2 part can cost you, the big paycheck and the big picture when you race all year long to get where you're at. But, man, it was nerve-wracking, nail-biter. But you throw out first round, we were low of the round every round. And, man, I can't say enough about my team and the way we performed this weekend.
Yeah, well, and, let's talk a little bit about Pro Stock Motorcycle, because you guys, I mean, this was a banner year, I think, for Pro Stock Motorcycle. One, I mean, obviously the championship, it was a great storyline going down to the wire. But two, I mean, this was one of the, this is the first time the 200-mile-an-hour barrier was broke. I mean, that was a massive deal for your division this year.
Yeah, Hector Jr. did it in Gainesville at the very first race of the year. And, Denzo Sparkplugs put the big bonus up for the top four places or the top four people to do it. And, it was just a really good deal for our class in general. And I became the third member of it at Pomona this weekend. And we ran 5 times over 200 this weekend, the only one to run over 200 this weekend. And then we set the national speed record again in the finals at 2:01:22, which is pretty awesome.
Yeah, well, and you've been in this division for a long time. I mean, and that's always been there. Like you said, Denzo put up that money. But, that's always kind of been the bar, and I remember for a long time it was that way, and Funny Car and Top Fuel was 300 miles an hour. But for you guys to finally get there, I mean, it's like, what's next, right? I mean, what's the next big number? Is it 210? I mean, to me, that's crazy fast on your guys' bikes.
Yeah, I don't think there's another milestone for us to, really to break because, the 6-second club was the milestone back in the day, and 200 mile an hour. So I mean, there's really no other milestone that we will ever break, in my lifetime, unless the rules get changed a lot and we put nitrous or turbos or something on the motorcycles, but to go into fives. But just glad to be part of both. I don't know what number I was in the Mickey Thompson, the 6-second club back in the day, and was proud to be a part of the 200 mile an hour Denso club.
Yeah. Well, and talking about that, you talked a little bit about the history here of Pro Stock Bike. I mean, you've been in this. You've been a bike guy from day one almost. I mean, kind of take us through that, because when a lot of guys moving into cars and things like that, I mean, you've always been a bike guy. And I know originally you had said, you got onto the bike side because it was just a little bit cheaper. I mean, the dollars and cents of it made sense, but you've continued to stay there. I mean, what draws you to racing motorcycles at 200 miles an hour? Because I know that at some point, there's got to be an itch going, oh, I wonder if I should maybe possibly look at four wheels, or you pretty happy on the two-wheel side of things?
I'm very happy on the two-side wheel of things, but, yes, I would love to go four wheels, and probably going to go four wheels a couple times next year in a Pro Stock car, for elite performance. But, I've drove my dad's Pro Mod car and done that. But just love the bikes, just like I said, the money thing is you can actually afford to race a motorcycle out here. It's still hard when you've got the big team like Harley Davidson, putting millions of dollars into their program each year. So it's hard to compete with those guys, but, still would love one day to go top fuel funny car racing.
Yeah. Well, and that being said, you talk about your program, we talk about you, but I got to mention, I mean, your wife, she made the playoffs as well. I mean, how was that? They say that, the families that race together stay together, but I mean, how is that with you and Angie racing? And like we saw, I mean, you guys have, gone head to head against each other before. I mean, how is that racing with your wife?
It's great racing with her. I mean, she's a very competitive person just like me, and we both live the same dream to win races and to make all the fans feel appreciated when they come around. I mean, there's so many kids that come to the rope and look at her more so than me, because she's a female and she's very pretty, and they want to be like her, and it's just great to be able to put people to be associated with people like that. And hopefully one day she's going to be a champion. We can get her a championship, but until then, it's the second time in a row that she's made the countdown. So just making the top 10 every year is a pretty big deal anymore.
Yeah, well, that's the truth, man. I mean, just being able to say you were in that countdown, I mean, that's not easy. You look at a lot of people sitting on the outside looking in, come countdown time. And I guess that, you as a racer, that's got to be going into every season. It's like before you can even think about the championship, you got to think about making the countdown, right?
Yeah, the way our year started out, we didn't have a sponsor to run this year. So I went to go ride for another guy, and we didn't qualify on his stuff at Gainesville, and then showed up at Charlotte with the stuff, and then he just up and left before we even started qualifying. So I had to go and pull my bike out, and didn't have the money to do it, but I did it because I'm just a diehard racer, and went to the semifinals at that race, the first race out, with my own stuff just sitting. So just a couple people stepped up to help me the rest of the year a little bit to get by. And that's kind of what we did. We limped by, but we was good enough to win the race. We won 4 races this year and to win the championship.
Yeah. Well, and that's got to, I guess, you want to talk about off-season momentum. Like you said, this season didn't start the way you wanted. It ended as good as it could be. You got to be pretty excited about the prospects of 2019 coming off, win the last round, obviously the championship. I mean, it's got to make that sponsorship hunt just a little bit easier this off-season, huh?
Yeah, I mean, I hope so. I really hope. I mean, I know our economy is doing way better the last 2 or 3 years, and hopefully some sponsors or marketing partners will step up and see the value of our team and, come and jump on board our bike, and so we can show them and promote their product and get them TV time and national dragster time and, social media time and be a part of our championship winning team, because that's what we need to continue, is to find somebody to come on board and help us.
Yeah, well, and I think that's always a tough thing in motorsport, right? You finding that right partner where you can sign a couple of year deal and you got some longevity and you can build the program and just have some stability and concentrate on developing the bikes and getting faster each and every weekend instead of, hey, we got to worry about the budget here. Are we even going to have enough money to make it to this round?
Yeah, I mean, when we signed our deal 3 years ago with Victory, that was a 2-year deal with a 1-year extension, and a performance clause deal. And we ended up being there three years with them. The problem was, Polaris shut Victory down, and I really thought they would bring Indian into the deal, this year. And for some reason, they just didn't want to do that and go through a whole new development program, I guess, like we did with the Victory. But we got the Victory running really good and won some races for them, and just really hope they come back, because that's somebody that, with our team, the way we're competing against Harley Davidson, if Indian come in, we can beat Harley, and I know that's what Indian wants is to beat up on Harley.
Yeah, well, and that being said, I know you watch what's going on the flat track side of things, and that Indian Wrecking Crew is wreaking a little havoc on Harley there. So, you would hope at some point the Indian Wrecking Crew starts to encompass pro stock motorcycle, right?
Correct. I mean, hopefully they will, and they'll see I know Victory saw the value of our sport. They, it's just the simple deal. They just put the brand out of business, to focus more on their one brand instead of two of them. And, hopefully they'll come back and come on over with Indian so we can show them that we are a championship team again, and we can win races and we can run against them boys.
Yeah, for sure. So before we let you go, I got to ask, I mean, obviously, you've been on the grind of the NHRA calendar. You got a little bit of breath of fresh air here. I mean, off-season's hitting. What's the next couple of months look like for you? You going to take a little time off, relax, or is it back to the grindstone?
Well, actually, when we get back home, we should be back Friday or Saturday. We're going to go on vacation for a week with the family on Thanksgiving. It's just our normal family thing we do for Thanksgiving. We're just going to go to the beach in North Carolina, hang out for a week, and spend Thanksgiving with the family. And then it's off to PRI the 1st of December to try to find some more sponsorship stuff. And then after that, it's in the shop working to try to make more power so we can come out and win more races next year and run for our title again.
All right. Well, I appreciate the time, Matt. Congratulations on I guess the newly crowned world championship, and we'll definitely look forward to seeing you in 2019, my friend.
Okay, thank you.
Talk about a solid guy, Matt Smith. And his wife Angie Smith. She races pro stock bike as well, and just legit competitors. Great to finally have him on the show. Just fun to work with the NHRA this year. Obviously, started with Torrance and Antron and having them, team with me for Star Cars out there at actually the first Pomona round earlier this year. And then, everything just kind of steamrolled from there. Went out to the event there in Vegas, the 4-wides with Torrance, and, just been doing a lot of coverage all year long. Caught up with Leah Pritchett at one point, and, now all of a sudden we're interviewing Torrance with his title, and we've got Matt Smith. I mean, J.R. Todd. I think the only one we've missed is Tanner Gray, who's got an amazing story as well. But NHRA stuff, man, if you haven't been out to one of these events, I'm telling you, they run coast to coast and got a massive schedule. Make it out to one of these events next year. I'm telling you, even if you don't like drag racing on TV, you get out there in person and you are going to absolutely love it. It is that epic. I've become a massive fan of the NHRA and all the personalities, man. You just top to bottom, start with John Force and his daughters and Steve Torrance and Antron and, J.R. Todd, Matt Smith. But you just look Leah Pritchett. I mean, Ron Capps, just some amazing personalities around, the NHRA pits, and, been fortunate to be welcomed into that community, and expect a lot of NHRA talk next year and more of the personalities, and probably more before the end of the year as well. But shout out to all the winners, Matt Smith, J.R. Todd, Steve Torrance, and Tanner Gray on, all their world championship titles. And, it's, hey, you can have your work cut out for you defending those next year, but it's going to be fun to watch. That's for sure. But yeah, thanks again to Matt Smith for calling into the show. Always fun to catch up with a two-wheel guy that likes to go 200 miles an hour on a bike, man. That is some legit stuff right there. That is for certain. So yeah, we are going to take a short break. We come back, wrapping things up here today on the Down and Dirty Radio Show, powered by Polaris RZR.
I'm Polaris rider Jim Beaver. I race trophy trucks professionally, host a Down and Dirty radio show, and also travel the country announcing motorsports events. I've seen it all, and trust me, I've done most of it, so when it comes time to relax on the weekend, nothing is better than taking time with my family in our RZR vehicles. They've got the reliability I need to just pick up and go explore the desert, dunes, or trail, and have the capability to attack even the harshest terrain. If you're looking for some of the most reliable and safest, and hands down most capable off-road machines in the world, look no further than Polaris and their award-winning lineup of RZR vehicles. Whether you want your daughter to experience off-road driving for the first time in a RZR 170 like me, take the entire family out in a RZR XP4 1000 on the weekend, or shred the desert and dunes in the all-new RZR XP 1000 Fox Edition, Polaris has you handled. Take my advice and join me and some of the best drivers in the world by driving a Polaris RZR. Check out the full Polaris RZR lineup at Polaris.com or follow them on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Polaris RZR.
The Subaru WRX and WRX STI, a 268 horsepower turbocharged Subaru Boxer engine, rockets the WRX around corners and down straightaways. A race-ready 305 horsepower turbocharged Subaru Boxer engine keeps the WRX STI a rally legend. The Subaru WRX and WRX STI, it's not a sibling rivalry. It's a tag team. Get the latest from Subaru Rally Team USA at Subaru.com/rally.
Looking to have some fun on four wheels? Dirtfish Rally School has you covered. Packing as much adrenaline and adventure as you can handle into high-performance all-wheel drive and rear-wheel drive Subaru rally cars is where the fun begins at Dirtfish. Just 30 minutes outside of Seattle and Snoqualmie, you'll get a chance to train up to 3 full days with some of the country's best instructors and be put through the high-octane rush of rally on mud, dirt, and tarmac. Get started today and call 425-888-7715 or visit us online at dirtfish.com and use code 911 for a 15% discount.
Life is all about sound. The sound of sports. The sound of the racetrack. And the sound of your vehicle. Don't drive around listening to this. Drive around listening to the sound of performance. Gibson Performance. Gibson Performance Exhaust is the company who can turn this into this. Remember that life is all about sound, and Gibson Exhaust is the sound of performance. Check out your next catback exhaust system, headers, muffler, or UTV exhaust at GibsonPerformance.com and get more power and more sound.
Anywhere is possible. It's more than just a slogan. Anywhere is possible with General Tire's wide variety of tires for whatever it is that you drive. Whether you're looking for off-road capability balanced with impressive on-road performance or ultra-high performance offering all-season traction designed with a driving enthusiast in mind, General Tire has what you need to get where you're going. General Tire, providing anywhere is possible with the Down and Dirty Radio Show since 2012.
Thanks for tuning in to the Down and Dirty Radio Show, available live online, in syndication on networks across the U.S., and available internationally on the American Forces Network.
Welcome back here to the Down and Dirty Radio Show, powered by Polaris RZR. Going to wrap things up. Thank you guys for tuning in. Once again, keeping us in business here on the Down and Dirty Radio Show. Make sure and go and check out my Facebook group where we are taking, I'm taking your opinions and ideas on how you would like the show changed in 2019. So make sure and head over to that group. It's Jim Beaver's Action Motorsports Discussion on Facebook. I am at Jim Beaver 15 on all forms of social media. Also have a second Instagram account called at Down and Dirty Show, where we share rad motorsport stuff as well as info about the show. So thank you guys who have done that already. If you haven't, make sure and do it. Check us out on iTunes. Subscribe to the Down and Dirty Radio Show, as well as my other show, Project Action, Down and Dirty Radio Show feed. We've also got Kelly Crandall's Racing Writers podcast that drops into that feed, and soon to be the Scene Vault, which is a basically a historic NASCAR podcast as well. So Down and Dirty Show, that will get you all these amazing podcasts, mine and everything else. Thank you guys who have done that. If you haven't, make sure and do it. Also, got to give a shout out to my friends at Polaris Razor, General Tire, Subaru, Vision Wheel, Casey Islets, Gibson Exhaust, Dirtfish. Make sure and use the coupon code JBDirtfish for 15% off there. Optimus, MotoShield Pro, Blue Water Resort and Casino, and my friends at Go Parts. Don't forget, it's go-parts.com. And when you punch in go-parts.com, use the /JimBeaver. That is goparts.com/JimBeaver, and that will get you a discount on all your auto parts that you purchase through our friends at Go Parts. So, it has been a fun week. Thank you to Chris Leone, Matt Smith, J.R. Todd, my friends at the NHRA for helping set up those interviews. We will be back next week, probably with some Baja winners, and who knows what else. But, we got to NASCAR season finale this weekend, but more importantly, the Baja 1000. That is right, Baja this weekend. Count me in. Make sure and, tweet me. I'm going to be watching like you guys. I'm not going down to Mexico, so I will be on social media chatting it up with you guys. So make sure and hit me up if you want to chat socially on Baja. But anyways, you guys have a great week. If you're heading down to Baja, be safe. If you're going anywhere, be safe. But we will see you guys next week. As always, game on.